Hey everyone, it's Benny. This is a little more of a serious video than I usually do, but I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had. So, let's be honest. Cayo Perico is, to say the least, a mixed bag. On one hand, the heist itself is extremely profitable. Like, I know people are making tons of money, but let's actually just hold off on looking at the dollar signs real quick, and let's look at the update objectively, and let's look at the summer special too, because I think I may have figured out what exactly happened with these two DLCs. But before we do that, we have to go back and look at everything objectively, and we're also going to have to look at real world events too. So first off, let's go all the way back to the casino heist. If you guys remember, the casino heist was an amazing DLC. Objectively speaking, it was well done. It was polished. There were not any serious game-breaking bugs or glitches that came straight from the update. And overall, it was just polished. People were making money, back and forth, and there wasn't any real game breaking stuff. You had some occasional mission glitches, but it wasn't constant. It was decent. And on top of that, it was a big update. Let's face it, nothing's gonna be as big as gun running or smuggler's run for a while. Doomsday Heist is arguably the biggest. You had 3 new heists from that, all sorts of weaponized vehicles, all sorts of cars. And Casino Heist definitely came pretty damn close to that. So, objectively speaking, Casino Heist was a good, well-rounded DLC. Now, what happened after that? After that, well, a pandemic broke out. By the way, people, please wear your masks, okay? It's not hard. I don't get political on this channel a lot, but I mean, come on. Anyway, but back to the topic at hand. So, a pandemic broke out. People were panicking. At the time, we knew jack squat about COVID. Let's be completely honest. We didn't know anything about COVID. This was a absolutely new threat, and we didn't know what we were doing. All we knew to do was to quarantine ourselves because we didn't want the spread to keep happening. We had to try to keep everyone safe. And because of that, a lot of people had to leave their normal workspaces. Now, this was around January, February. February was about the time it hit the US. I actually remember at the time I was still working in a supermarket. Word got out, I had to leave. I actually had to leave work because someone I live with is at risk, if he were to catch COVID. Fortunately, he's vaccinated now, so he's not nearly as much at risk. But the fact of the matter is, it was a threat. And people had to be at home, otherwise the spread would continue and people would get sick. That includes game developers. I mean, imagine how much a virus would spread. A game development office would be the perfect place for a virus to spread. It doesn't matter how sanitary you keep it or how many people are wearing masks, because people would be getting so close to each other, it would kind of defeat the whole point. So, long story short, game developers had to work from home. Now, to top that off, you already had mentioned, top that off, your fan base, or Rockstar's fan base was getting very anxious later in the year, around March, April, May, and, Rockstar finally, caved. They're like, hey, look, we're putting together, probably the biggest DLC since launch. So people got excited. Now, personally, I think Rockstar still should have come straight out and said something. They shouldn't have been keeping that. They shouldn't have been keeping that under wraps. But regardless, that was then. And honestly, I think people expected a little too much, especially during possibly, I mean, not possibly, literally the worst, well, I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say, it was during a really, really bad time. So, any way you look at it, Rockstar was under very, very bad pressure, not to mention Take-Two breathing down their necks. Shark cards, feed me shark cards. So, you know, it's just pressure all around. And here's my theory, in short, and I'll explain more accurately on why, but I wanted to try to introduce my point, and here it is. I think that the summer special was not supposed to be a thing. And I know you're thinking, Benny, yeah, we know, Cops and Crooks was, you know, what was supposed to be, you know, game files and all that. Not necessarily. I don't know what Rockstar is doing with all of that. It's very unclear, but one thing's for sure. The summer special was not supposed to be nearly like what it was, and here's why I think. I think that Cayo Perico was supposed to be released in the summer, but because of the pandemic, they had to delay it for a winter update. And you know how Rockstar does it. They release the update every 6 months. They have a summer update and then a Christmas update. That's usually how they do things. But I basically think that all of the content from the summer update was supposed to be part of Cayo Perico. And think about it. Think about all of the similar things between the updates. Both are very, like, summer, you know, tropical, party-themed updates. Tons of cars, you know, beaches, parties, DJs. You know, both of them just scream that summer vibe. And on top of that, during the summer special, you know, they introduced those drug cars where you could steal a car that was loaded with drugs or contraband, and you would deliver them to a contact. You know, I still think that was supposed to be part of the Cayo Perico, because, like, the similarities are just too obvious. Like, you know, there's a lot. It's just, I don't know how else to explain it other than, like, they're just, it's like they were meant to be part of the same thing. There's also the fact that Rockstar had said in their Newswire post ages ago that this was supposed to be literally the biggest update so far. And Cayo Perico by itself is not even close. It's literally just a music update. I don't even think it was supposed to be a music update. Personally, I think they had maybe added the music because they promised the biggest update and they had to deliver. Again, keep in mind, this is Rockstar Games we're talking about. They're on pressure from all sides. So, I think what happened was the summer update, or at least the content from it, was supposed to be part of Cayo Perico. But because of the pandemic, they had to rush things, and they had to release part of the update early. So what I think they did was they may have taken what they had finished, you know, all of the cars was supposed to be drip feed, and they just, you know, they just, like, released it, and they tried to piece it together like half of a puzzle, basically. And, you know what I'm trying to say. There's also the fact that, you know, the yacht. Think about how much yacht missions would have fit in with a tropical update. It would have been perfect. There's also the fact that despite being in the middle of a pandemic, the summer special update was way more polished than Cayo Perico. Now, let's look at this objectively. The summer special may not have been nearly as big as Cayo Perico, but it was better done. And yeah, I know there were some bugs and glitches, but it wasn't nearly as bad as some of the bugs and glitches we're still dealing with now. Remember when the entire friends list was broken? You couldn't invite your friends and you couldn't join your friends through the in-game menu? I still remember that. It's, you know, any way you spin it, you know, the clues are there. And I've thought about this a lot. And look, I love the fucking Cayo Perico update. This This is a potentially good update. It could have been way better though. And I hope Rockstar does more to fix this when they can. Because it just wasn't ready when it released. And I've been telling my friends this constantly. But it's true. This update just wasn't ready. You know, people rush Rockstar like crazy. And this is what it leads to. I'm one of those people who would much rather wait a little longer and have something that is finished than get something early and it be completely unusable. That's basically what we're seeing right here. And yeah, we're getting money from this, but I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that this update is fine the way it is. There's a ton wrong with it. It's tedious too. Like, I feel like these prep missions are too easy, in fact. Like, there's just... I'm so burned out from this already. You know, it took me ages to get burnt out from casino heists. Hell, I want to do those again, but, you know, my friends are off doing Cayo Pericos, so I can't. But this update just wasn't ready. Like, it just wasn't ready when they released it. There's so much wrong with it. But unfortunately, the sad truth is, as much as my theory makes sense, we'll never know. We will never know if that's truly what happened. So I guess we'll just have to, you know, deal with it as we have it. And don't get me wrong, this update definitely changed the game. That's what every DLC is supposed to do. It gives the game something new and exciting. It definitely did that. I absolutely praise Rockstar for giving us our first solo playable heist. But it's just, it just wasn't ready. You know, I would much rather wait until like February, for instance. Just that little bit more time they needed to test this and make sure it was ready. But unfortunately, it just wasn't. And because of the pandemic, Rockstar had very, very few resources. Excuse me. But they didn't have a lot to work with. And it just... I'm sorry, I'm beating a dead horse here, but it just wasn't ready. It's a potentially good update that was ruined by basically crunch. And it's just... it could have been so much better if they had just had enough time. And unfortunately, with the way the pandemic was, yeah. So, let me know, guys, what you think of my theory, and tell me below if you have any theories yourselves, because I still think to this day that the summer special was just supposed to be part of Cayo Perico, and that Cayo Perico was supposed to be the summer update. But again, we'll never know. And part of it is because, you know, the clues are basically circumstantial, and as much as they make sense, it's not 100%. It's not 100%. And on top of that, Rockstar is just so secretive with their stuff, which is both good and bad. And this is a big reason why. But yeah, that's about it for now. Let me know what you guys think. But that's it for now. I'm out. Stay safe, guys.